When we look back at the early 21st century, few names changed the world as much as Osama Bin Laden. But to understand the history, we have to look past the headlines and see the mechanics of how it all happened. Today, we're breaking down the history using the 5 pillars: the who, the what, the when, the how, and why it mattered to us right now in 2026. First off, let's talk about who. Let's identify the people involved in this event. The central figure was Osama Bin Laden, the founder of the militant Islamist organization Al-Qaeda. Supporting him was the Taliban, the extremist group that controlled Afghanistan and provided him with a hideout. On the other side was the United States and its NATO allies, who led the global response to his actions. Finally, there is Pakistan, the nation where Bin Laden eventually went into hiding, creating a complicated diplomatic triangle that still exists today. Next is what. This wasn't a traditional war between two nations with clear borders. This was a global conflict. Bin Laden pioneered a brand of transnational terrorism using independent terms to strike civilian targets. The goal was to not conquer territory, but to use fear to provoke superpowers into long, exhausting wars that would destabilize the global economy and political order. Next is when. The real timeline starts long before 9/11. The trigger happened in 1990 when the US deployed troops in Saudi Arabia during the Gulf War. Bin Laden viewed it as a desecration of Holy Lands, which sparked his declaration, the war against the West. This led to a decade of escalation, especially with the attacks on September 11, 2001. This launched the War of Terror, a conflict that defined global politics for over 20 years. The manhunt finally ended on May 2, 2011, during a secret raid that closed one chapter of history but started many others.
How was he able to operate, and how was he caught? Bin Laden used a mix of all the new tactics. He used the early internet for propaganda, but stayed dark to avoid digital tracking, relying on secret networks of human couriers. The mission to find him, Operation Neptune Spear, was a masterpiece of intelligence and technology. After years of tracking a single courier, the CIA located a compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan. On the night of the raid, Navy SEAL team of 6 flew stealth choppers into Pakistani airspace. Despite a helicopter crashing in the courtyard, the SEALs cleared the house in just 38 minutes. They didn't just end the threat, they gathered a massive treasure trove of hard drives and documents that dismantled Al-Qaeda's operation for years to come.
So why does this matter to us in 2026? First, consider Pakistan. The discovery of Bin Laden on their soil created a permanent trust deficit with the West. By 2026, we see Pakistan has shifted its alliances, moving away from the US and closer to China. However, they've also reinvented themselves as a global mediator, using their unique position to host peace talks between East and West.
Second, look at our laws and privacy. The surveillance tools created to track Bin Laden have become a global standard. The debate we have today about how much the government should know about our digital lives created because of this conflict. Finally, there's the human element, from the way we travel at airports to shifting borders and migrations patterns in the Middle East. The world we live in today was built in response to the actions of one man, the global reaction to them. We don't just study this as history, we live in the world it created.
Osama Bin Laden's life and death forced the world to rewrite the rules of safety, technology, and diplomacy. As we move further into 2026, understanding this past is the only way to navigate our future.